Well, hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Tony. The channel is Tony Talks Cards, and we are talking about three tiny cards today. Three 1940s cards, two football, one baseball, and they all have different stories to them. I looked up some information about the players, who they played for, things they did outside of baseball and football as well, to share a little bit about them. I picked these three cards up for $22. All three for $22. Now, all three have issues. You know, they aren't perfect. They've got creasing and some paper loss and heavy creasing in some cases. But for $22, each comes with a different story. And one of the players, I'll show off first right now, is Mr. Bob Mann. Bob Mann, this is his 1948 Bowman rookie card, as many are, because football didn't have a lot of sets in the 40s. So most players shown in these early sets, it is their rookie card because nothing else came before. Bob Bowman, he is shown here, number 47, playing for the Detroit Lions. And I bought this card. Again, it was one of three cards I bought for about $22 total. You can see there's some paper loss there, of course, on the top, and it's an old, almost 80-year-old card. But I want to talk about Bob because today is April 15th. It is Jackie Robinson Day. I don't have any Jackie Robinsons. I hope to at some point. Maybe I'll lean towards the cheaper one, which would be the 56 Topps baseball Robinson, his last playing days Topps card. But as I looked up Mr. Mann here, he helped integrate two different teams during his short NFL career. So let's first look at the back. And I figure we talk about that in somewhat connection to Jackie Robinson, of course, integrating Major League Baseball in 1947. So to a lesser extent, although very, very important extent, Bob here helped integrate two pro football teams as well. So look at the back, you can see he played end, and he was a star end for Michigan's 1947 Western Conference and Rose Bowl championship. Talks about how many passes and yards he got, played for Michigan, of course, and as many players did in baseball and football at this time, served our military during World War II, served the Navy right there. So this is Bob Mann. Doesn't have a lot of cards. I think he may have one more, could be two more in the early 50s there, but he played football for the Lions, the New York Yanks, real briefly, and then finished his career with the Green Bay Packers. He played from 48 to 54. And like it says here, he played for the University of Michigan and played for Michigan from 1944 to 1947. And he was only one of two African-American players on Michigan's team in 44. In 1948, he signed with the Detroit Lions for $7,500. As a rookie, he and Mel Grooms became the first African-Americans to play for the Lions. He played in 12 games as a backup and finished with 560 yards receiving and finished 7th in the NFC in receiving yards. In 1949, Bob actually led the NFL in receiving yards with over 1,014, and finished second in receptions to future Hall of Famer Tom Fears. He was, among other things, he's done the first thing of, he was the first Lion to gain 1,000 receiving yards in a cool catching pose here as well, with his arm wide up trying to catch that football, which is pretty cool. He then joined the Packers in 50 and 51, led the team in receptions, and last played with them in 1954. And it's funny enough, at the time he joined in the early 50s, he was also generally accepted, that he was the first African-American player to play for Green Bay as well. I think something else may have come out in more recent times saying maybe he wasn't, but again, at the time, he was, to Green Bay, definitely probably the first to integrate, at least in their minds. He was inducted into the Green Bay Packers Football Hall of Fame in 1988, and after he graduated law school after playing in 1970, he worked as a criminal defense lawyer for over 30 years in Detroit. So this is his rookie card. Again, 1948 Bowman, black and white. Got some paper loss on the front. You can see some interesting stuff around the Bowman advertising in the back, the four-leaf clover lapel pin, and a little bit about his, like I said, Navy service and college service. So this is his year in the NFL first, right at the top. Kind of cool to see that. So yeah, I didn't know much about him, actually anything about him, before I found this card on a Facebook group. It was $5, $6, $7. Again, there's paper loss. It's not perfect, but wanted to learn more about him as a player. And so kind of cool, he helped integrate the Packers and first the Lions in the late 40s, early 50s. And again, on this Jackie Robinson Day, though, others came before him in terms of pro football for other teams, I believe. Thought it kind of nice to talk about Mr. Bob Mann here on April 15th, Jackie Robinson Day. So there he is. I'll put him right in the middle. Hopefully without a stand, it'll stay up for the next few minutes here. The next person I want to talk about is another football card, 1948 Bowman. Again, same set. His name is Bucko Kilroy. Bucko was a nickname, obviously. You can see there's quite a bit of creasing right across the middle of the card there, but a nice, aggressive, offensive lineman, defensive lineman shot there, number 76, like he's about to rush down the field and tackle somebody or block for a kickoff maybe of some sort. Bucko Kilroy is not in the Hall of Fame, but I've heard about him on some NFL football films being talked about by other former professional football players from the 40s and 50s. So he played for the Philadelphia Eagles for 13 years from 1943 to 1955. He played both offensive line and defensive line for the Eagles. So kind of like Chuck Bednarik played both sides of the ball as well. He was part of the Eagles' championship teams in 48 and 49. He was called one of the toughest and dirtiest players of his time. He missed one game out of 203 games and played in 147 consecutive games, which at the time in the 1950s was a record, 147 in a row. So on the back here, you can see, again, the crease does quite a bit come through. You can see what Temple, 6'2", age 27, and it says this is Bucko's, spelled B-U-C-C-O. I think it's maybe B-U-C-K-O, depending on who you talk to. His sixth season in the Pro Football League with the Eagles. Switched from tackle to guard last year by the head coach, Greasy Neal, to utilize his speed. 250 pounds and 6 feet 2 inches tall. He's one of the strongest men on the squad. Tough and hard to dislodge. There you go. So definitely a block of concrete there on the defensive and offensive line for the Eagles for about 13 years. This is his rookie card. Again, like I said, many 1948 Bowman football cards are rookies because there wasn't really anything before that in main issue besides the 1935 National Chickle set, which only had 36 cards to it. So kind of a cool view of him, number 76. You see the kind of darker stripe where the shoulder pads are, which was the Eagles, I think, uniform at the time. Wish we had color on this one, but I know color came in a little bit later with pro football issues. Like I mentioned, some research on Wikipedia that I had done talked about him being one of the toughest and dirtiest players of all time. On the back, it talks about how strong he is and how it's hard to move him off the line there. But I found a quote from Art Donovan. Art Donovan played with the Colts in, I think, late 40s to early 60s. If you remember NFL films and, talking about tough guys and guys from the 50s and 60s and 70s, he was a fun guy to listen to tell stories around the early Pro Football League and its players. So this is what Art Donovan had to say about Bucko Kilroy. The beginnings of the Colt-Eagle rivalry probably had something to do with a guy named Frank Kilroy. So Frank was his name. They called him Bad News Kilroy. Pretty ominous. The Dirty B, I won't say the word right now, was a legend by the time I got into the league. It was the first thing he wanted. They warned a rookie, watch out for the Irish bum. He was really pretty unbelievable. He took kickoffs literally. And this is a quote. He'd run downfield kicking people, just kicking them out of bounds, and he never got called for it. The officials would just let him do it. So a new meaning to the word kickoff, I suppose. And again, we don't entirely know, I suppose, with having highlight films of all the games which we don't have, if that's entirely true. But if he was kicking people in that rough and tumble early NFL, NFC, would have been quite the sight to see. So again, not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but I think he is in the Eagles Hall of Fame. Pretty sure that is the case. Let me just go check that real quick. I think he is. And then he was named to the 1940s All-Decade Team. So again, Two-way player, offense, defense, kind of like Chuck Bednarik, part of two Eagles championship teams in 48 and 49. And this card was probably all of $7 too. Yes, it's pretty beat up, but all of $7. One I didn't have, one I didn't know too much about the guy, but cool to have researched a little bit and have a quick, cheap card to talk about. So I will put that here next to Mr. Mann. Hopefully those stay up, of course. The last player is a baseball player. I've got the baseball books here in the background covering them up right now by the football players. But this card I bought, and it is a 1949 Bowman rookie card of Andy Pafko. So Andy Pafko played for the Cubs for a number of years, maybe more well known for being a Cubs player. His 1949 Bowman rookie card here I got for all of about $8. And all of these three cards I got again for $22 in total with shipping, kind of roughly, all from a Facebook group that I'm part of. And so this card here, again, never had a 49 Bowman. It's kind of cool to see the bright colors. I mean, it looks like a painting. You can see there's a nice little crease right here. I'll get the light maybe. Right there. Nice little crease right across the top right. But the rest of the card's pretty darn thick. And so these are thick cards too. I hadn't held these or hadn't owned one before, but nice and thick and sturdy, but just someone had to fell on the card the wrong way, dropped it, and had that crease right in the red. So not across his face or the Cubs logo, which is a good thing for me, but a nice pickup for about $7. So a little bit about Andy. Andy played outfield and third base from 1943 to 1959, playing first for the Cubs, then Dodgers, and then the Braves. He played for the Cubs during their 1945 World Series appearance. After the Cubs' third baseman Stan Hack retired, Pafko replaced him at third base long enough to almost be named as an all-star. He was an all-star, but then the Major League Baseball canceled the all-star game and the selection that season due to the war. So that was a little bit untimely for him. He did become a four-time consecutive all-star from 47 through 1950, making him one of the few players to achieve all-star status in both the infield and outfield. He played for the Cubs, like I said, during the 45 World Series, and after being traded to the Braves, later in his career played on their 1957 World Series championship team. He is not in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but was inducted into the Cubs Team Hall of Fame, and he's on that list. If you look up Cubs Team Hall of Fame, certainly plenty of Cubs are in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but plenty of Cubs are not, and he is only in the Cubs. Not only, he is in the Cubs Hall of Fame. So looking at the back, we can see he played infield here per this card. He is number 63 out of 240. He was an outfielder ever since he began in the Northern League in 1940. Moved to third base, like I said, when the Cubs needed more help there in 1948, it looks like. And had one of his best seasons. In 142 games, he batted .312, hit 26 homers, and drove in 101 runs. Pretty good. And he has been in one World Series, like I said, 1945 with the Cubs. So got some paper loss or something up here on the top again, but it's a sturdy card. You know, it looks like it's a 75-ish year old card. I just was so entranced by the picture. I mean, just the bright red, the blue, the white against the blue and the red, the gray. I mean, yeah, the crease is there, but it's just a cool card, and it's a rookie card of a Cubs Team Hall of Famer. So for $7-8, was really happy to pick this up here too. The one thing I was, funny enough, thinking about with this card, and the one reason I know Andy Pafko a bit more outside of the Cubs, being a player for the Cubs in the 40s, is that early on, right, I was a vintage football collector, read all the Beckett's, read all the books around sports card collecting and the hobby and rare cards and expensive cards, and I always knew Andy Pafko because he is card number 1 of the famous 1952 Topps baseball set. The one with Mickey Mantle's, well-known second-year card, again, that last series, story of it being dumped in the ocean. But again, Andy Pafko's name would always come up in the Beckett's. Card number 1, 52 Topps. Didn't know who he was. Wasn't a main Hall of Fame name I would have known about as a grade school kid, but I always thought, why was this card so expensive? Why? He's not in the Hall of Fame. Who is this guy? But of course, card number 1 or the last card in the set, like I think Eddie Matthews is, right? Those cards were tending to have more wear, and kids would put them around band them up with rubber bands, put them in shoe boxes, and the first and last cards, if you had the first and last card, would be subject more to, again, wear and tear of that card shuffling around in a box or a shoe box. So I know him from card collecting lore, I guess, in terms of being the #1 card in 52 Topps. And even being a Cubs fan, didn't know much about him before the last couple of weeks. So happy to have that card connection, plus also Cubs connection, and to add him to my Cubs team Hall of Fame players I'm slowly getting a few of here and there as well. So those are my 3 cards. Different video again. Hope you enjoyed it. These are three tiny cards, all from the late 40s, all with a different story. Didn't know much about any of them, but happy to do some research if it's based on getting some new cards and learn something more about baseball and football. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Again, have a great day. Jackie Robinson Day, April 15th, but I would be remiss to not say it's also tax day. I work in corporate tax in my day job, non-YouTube job, and so very familiar with tax deadlines and all the hustle and bustle and media around April 15th. So get your taxes done, get them out at the post office, and good luck with that too. I'll talk to you later. Bye.